Good.
Awesome. I decided to play the last game so I could actually talk because I'm so out of shape. That was a joke.
That's good stand-up.
I was laughing.
You are so funny.
So, just out of curiosity, how many of you heard the term raised in a Christian home? Alright, you guys know what that means. It's self-explanatory, right? Grew up in a Christian home. So, I was one of those kids, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have struggles. A lot of times a Christian household or raised in a Christian home can often be perceived as he did everything right, he knew what to do, and he did it all. That's true in some cases, but in a lot of cases it's not. In my instance, you know, I was raised in a Christian home. My parents, my whole family's are Christian, and I always went to Sunday school and all that stuff. And my mom was in charge of all this stuff, and I followed my parents around to church and all that. And but it wasn't ever something I did. You know, it was something I did, but it was never because I was seeking a relationship with God, or I wasn't there for spiritual enrichment or anything like that. I was there to hang out with friends and to, just hang out. And it was always my parents' faith. You know, I was like, oh, my parents are saved. You know, that must mean I'm saved. You know, if they're gonna go to heaven, so that must mean I'm gonna go also. So I just grew up with that mentality, and I noticed I saw a lot of the older kids getting baptized, and which is basically just a commitment and saying that you're going to follow Christ in the way you're going to try to model his life so that you can receive forgiveness for your sins and eventually go to heaven once you're done on this earth. So I saw a bunch of older people, you know, some of my friends and stuff were getting baptized, and I thought, you know, it was just something you did. So when I was 10, 9 or 10, I got baptized. You know, I was something to do, and I did it, and it didn't change anything. I was exactly the same as I was before, which wasn't evil, but I definitely sinned a lot. But you know, it was nothing changed from about that time for a couple years. It was just, you know, Jesus was there. I knew he was there. I was always told he was there. And I believed it, but it didn't affect me. I wasn't in the Word. I didn't know what, you know, I had judgment, but, you know, I went with my way, more or less, than God's way. So when I was 12 years old, everything was going good. I was actually at a soccer game, ironically. We had just won. We were going back to my coach's house. We were going to have a big rah-rah party. And everything was going good, and my parents came to pick me up. I got in the car, and my dad was driving, and my mom was sitting in the passenger seat, and I was all excited. I was telling about the game, and my mom suddenly just started bawling. And I didn't know what was wrong. I was kind of looking at my dad, and my dad was kind of getting teared up, and that's strange, because for all you guys that know my dad, he doesn't cry. And he started getting teared up, and I knew something was wrong, so I asked my parents, you know, what's wrong, and it took a little while just because they were crying a lot, and finally my mom turned around to me, and she informed me, she told me that she had been to a doctor's office while I was at my game, and that she had cancer. She had breast cancer in one of her breasts, and I think it was stage 2, and I think there's 5 stages. So it wasn't horrible, but at that time I knew nothing. Now I'm all informed on that stuff. But at that time my knowledge of cancer was she's going to die in 2 weeks. So I instantly teared up, and I immediately started thinking, you know, what now? I'm going to lose my mom, and why would that happen to me? Why would God do that to me? Why would God do that to my mom, my family, my whole place? And I just didn't quite understand why my mom was the best Christian in my world, and she definitely still is. And over the course of the next year, she went through surgeries after surgeries and chemo. She lost all her hair, and you know, all her hair. She had no eyebrows, eyelashes, anything. She almost didn't look like the same person. And it was the hardest time in my life, and it was just so crazy. It was like, I always heard that, it was like 1 in 6 people get cancer. I was like, yeah, whatever, that's not going to happen to me, that's not going to happen to us, and it did. And throughout that time I was just always questioning why. I was seeing my mom in pain, and my mom and me are hugely close, and and so we were all going through this together. But throughout the entire time, my mom was always faithful to God. She always, whenever I was struggling with stuff, she would open up the Bible and she would read me a verse, and it would just, it would just uplift us, and we would, we got through it. And my mom stayed faithful, and she had questions too. She was, you can't get cancer and ask why me, and so I obviously ran through her head, but the whole time she just kept reminding herself, there must be a reason, there has to be a reason. God wouldn't have done it if there wasn't a reason. And so through that, my grandma, or my mom's mom, we call her Nana, she ended up completely, because of my mom, completely turning her life around, and because that was messed up right there. And she is a fully devoted Christian, deep in her faith now, and completely changed her life. And as I was seeing this, I was still, 12, 13 years old at that time. As I was, I was kind of taking a step back, and I was looking at my mom, and I was looking at my Nana, my grandma, and I was seeing all this stuff, and I was like, how do they do that? Why I couldn't do that? Why can't I do that? And I knew that my mom, I realized that, it was because of God. My mom was always, in the Word. Whenever she was in turmoil or anything, she was always in the Word, and she always knew that there was a reason, and there was. And I knew that I didn't have that, and I needed that. And so at about 13 and 14 years old, my life dramatically changed, and I had a purpose, I had a reason, and my life was completely changed, and I wasn't just going to church because my parents did. It was something that I did. It was, my church. It was my faith, my God that I followed. And when I was, that was about 13, 14, and then ever since then I've been constantly trying to, grow deeper in my faith, and there's always struggles, there's always stuff that comes up. As you guys may have found out, the economy is down the hole, and so that drastically affects my dad's job, and so we've had to, cut back on some things, and there's always struggles with just myself, with my life, and, but there's always something to go to. There's always something in the Bible that will tell you, to help you, guide you through life. And one of my biggest realizations as I grow deeper in my faith is that I want to tell other people about it. And a lot of times people say they're Christians, but they don't live it. And which refers to my favorite verse, actually, which says, dang it, wow, brain wipe. Huh? Yeah, you know what I'm talking. Huh?
A man with faith, I would say, I wish you well.
I don't know if that's it. But
is that what that? Oh,
no,
it's
it's something like, dang it.
I was on the right
Oh, there we go, 1 Peter. It says, so you believe that there is one God. This is a humorous kind of joke. It says, so you believe that there is one God, or AKA, so you are a Christian. And he says, good, but I hate to inform you, but even the demons know that, and they shudder. And so that just kind of brings back how, if you can say you're a Christian, and you can try to live it and fake it, as I did a long time, and but it's never anything. It's never going to get you anywhere unless you really pursue it, and you try to grow deeper in your faith, and you take that commitment. So yeah, I guess that's it for me. I hope you guys heard what I had to say.